Great. Thank you.
Sure.
So thank you to all the participants for joining this session on the sixth part of this session, which is around SAP automation. And as you can see on the screen, right, so this is the Daily NCR community page on UiPath community. You can join this chapter to get updates from the for all the upcoming events related to, I mean, webinar or in-person meetups that are scheduled to happen. And you can also scan this QR code to join the WhatsApp group where you can get the updates for the upcoming events and the in-person events that are being hosted. And you can also post your queries related to the sessions that keeps on happening. So you'll get the assistance from the community members in the WhatsApp group as well. So feel free to join this, and we'll move with the session. All right. So this is the part 6 of SAP automation with UiPath, and today's agenda is around SAP Solution Accelerator and what are the best practices and how Solution Accelerator can benefit us to quickly get started with the development, right? All right. So a quick introduction about myself. My name is Umesh Dutt Sharma, and I'm currently working as a RPA Tech Lead and Solution Architect with the Silicon Partners. And feel free to connect me on LinkedIn. I have shared my LinkedIn profile in the group chat as well. So I'm looking forward to connect with you all there. If you have any queries, any feedback, right, feel free to share it with me on LinkedIn as well. All right, moving to the agenda for the day. So the agenda that we have for this session is we will have a quick introduction about UiPath Solution Accelerator, and then we'll see what are the SAP Solution Accelerators available at UiPath Marketplace. I'll see a whole list of different solution accelerators that can quickly get started with the development. And then we will see how we build the automations using solution accelerators. So we'll see a couple of examples as well. We'll have a live demo where I will be covering how you can quickly build or deploy the automation processes to orchestrator, what are the different ways of doing it. And then we will also discuss about the upcoming sessions that are planned, right? Moving to the next slide. So, introduction about UiPath Solution Accelerator. So before we get started about the introduction of UiPath Solution Accelerator, let us know on the group chat whether have you heard about this Solution Accelerator before, or have you used it in any of your processes in your current organization? So let us know so that we will be aware that you have some idea around it. If not, we will be going through the basics, and then we will also see how you can implement this in your organization to quickly get started. Maybe you can type in yes or no if you have used it, so that way we'll be aware. All right. Okay. So I guess if you have not used Solution Accelerator in any of your for the business scenarios that for which Solution Accelerator is available, you will find it very interesting that how it can easily provide you a platform to get started with the development with all the documentation and the best practices. So I'll start with a brief introduction about Solution Accelerator, and feel free to post any questions that you might have during the session, and we'll try to answer it at the end of the session. And we'll also take up the session questions on during the session as well. Right. So, all right. So, talking about Solution Accelerators. So these are the pre-built modular automation framework So if you know about framework, about how a framework is designed, like including RE framework that we have and a document understanding framework. So it is pre-built, right? So you have all the exception handling in place already created for you, but those framework are not so they are not business specific, but more on the technical side of it, right? But solution accelerators are something which are which basically business use cases, including, let's suppose, invoice processing of a two-way match or three-way match, or user onboarding or password reset. So a business use case, right? So there is a solution created for specific business use cases, and the solution is also available on the UiPath marketplace under the official feed of UiPath. So we'll have a look at that, and we'll cover the basics of solution accelerator as well, right? So, like I said, I mean, these are the automation framework specifically designed for particular use cases. And for example, you can think of it as a set of tools or examples that can help us to get started with building automation workflows for the available scenarios. So instead of starting from the scratch, it can help us to discover, design, and develop the automations very quickly. So it lays a background, or it does the groundwork for us basically. So we don't have to do all the work from the scratch, right? And it also provides a flexible and efficient way to jumpstart the automation projects, because we have the documentations available, we have the workflows available, we have libraries and the reusable components. And these are highly customizable. We'll see how we can customize the solution accelerators based on our requirement and the how it can fit in with the business use case that we have, right? So we'll also see in the demo how easy it is to quickly get started with the development as well. Talking about the key points, starting with best practices. So solution accelerators are built using best practices, and they come with the pre-built components that are designed to work effectively and efficiently in various automation scenarios. Customizability. So these frameworks are highly customizable. Like I said, we can modify, expand, and we can tailor them to meet the specific needs of different use cases for our customers. And faster implementation, since we already have the most of the work already done, right? So one of the main benefit of using Solution Accelerator is it is faster time to value. It gives a faster time to value, right? And it helps us to implement automation programs more quickly by providing a head start in the development stage. One thing to note is that it's not a plug and play framework. That means you have to modify it, you have to customize it based on the business requirement that you might have. But you will get the skeleton of the process where you can just simply go ahead and do the customization at certain stages and then start using it, right? And talking about reusable components. So, like I said, I mean, accelerators come with a code base that includes reusable components as well, which includes libraries and some XAML files as well. And these components are designed to interact with emails or Active Directory, as ServiceNow, SAP, and etc. So if you're not using any of these systems, you can comment out the code. You can add your code where you might be using some other application or system. You can just simply replace this, and then it will work as it is, right? Talking about security and compliance, since these solutions that are available on UiPath Marketplace, so these are certified for security, compliance, and quality by the UiPath. So this ensures that the automation that we are building is safe, compliant, and reliable. Right. So these are very important points which gives us an idea what Solution Accelerator is all about. We'll also see a list of available solution accelerators. Moving to the next slide, uh, this is where we will see, as you can see in the screen, right? So these are some of the widely used business cases, business use cases, uh, for which solution accelerator is available at UiPath Marketplace. We'll go through some of these. I will also share the link to these solution accelerators. So based on the, I mean, let's suppose if you have any use case in your organization where you want to do the invoice processing automation using SAP, you can just simply get started with this solution accelerator and it will give you a head start, and it will save a lot of time for you to design and do the development from scratch. Similarly, if you have a use case for three-way match invoice processing, if you have processes around good receipts or good managed goods and invoices received, which are a part of GRIR process, there are solution accelerators available around that as well. Update existing vendor, which is again a P2P process. So we'll be covering some of these in the demo as well, like how we can quickly get started using Solution Accelerator. Then ITSM user unlock. So these are all SAP specific solution accelerators from the official feed of UiPath. Maybe I'll just open some of these solution accelerator page, right? As you can see, so this solution accelerator is specific for two-way match invoice processing for SAP business use case. And it was published by UiPath on the official feed, right? And you can see the benefits that are mentioned here. You can see the reviews and the versions that are available, and what this solution accelerator is all about. You can have a look at it, right? And it includes document understanding as well. We will also see how we can deploy this in Orchestrator and get started with the development. It's really easy, and it's really gives a head start to start the development, right? So some of these solution accelerators were built in partnership with UiPath and the Silicon partners, as you can see. So it follows the best practices, and these are gold certified solutions which are available. That means it has passed all the security and compliance checks as well, right? And we'll see this how to utilize, how to use these solution accelerators uh, in real world implementation, right? Talking about maybe some other use cases as well. We'll cover this one, update existing vendor as well. We'll cover maybe right, so user provisioning. So these are all SAP specific solution accelerators which are available on UiPath Marketplace, and these are all from the official UiPath channel, like I said, right? These are all SAP specific. As you can see, the SAP application is mentioned over here, and the other applications which this solution accelerator is interacting with, right? And these are very specific or general use cases which most of the organizations do have, right, around finance or P2P processes. And we will be covering update existing vendor. We will also have a demo run as well for this one. We'll implement this, and all right. Moving to the next slide, which is building automations with Solution Accelerator, right? So in order to get started with the Solution Accelerator implementation, we need to understand what are the different components that are available as a package of Solution Accelerator. So a Solution Accelerator generally consists of these components, which includes the technical documentation, and the technical documentation follows best practices. It contains a very detailed solution diagram. It contains a diagram which also shows you the different components which are used in the solution accelerator, and what are the different components of UiPath are being used. If you are working as a solution architect or a senior developer, you will notice then that most of the UiPath components, including data service, storage bucket, queues, assets, and others are being used in as per the best practices, how they are interacting with each other, right? So everything is available in the technical documentation, very detailed, very easy to understand. And the next is solutions management package. So we'll cover this as well. So there are two ways to deploy the solutions accelerator in your organization to the orchestrator. So one of them is using solutions management as well. And solution management is the latest offering from UiPath, which is available under automation ops. And the deployment of uh, processes across organizations has become very easy using solutions management feature. And we had a session around solutions management a while ago. Uh, you can find the session on the history of Delhi NCR chapter as well. So we have a session. If you are not aware of what solutions management is, you can refer that session as well to get better understanding of it. Anyway, we will cover in today's session as well, some part of it. And then the solution accelerator package also contains details around what are the different assets being used, the queues that are being used, processes, libraries, or reusable components, right? So everything is there. We just need to do the configuration. So like I said, there are two different ways to implement or install solution accelerator in orchestrator. So the first one is the manual deployment, where we have all the components available with us. We can download it from the marketplace, and then we can manually upload all these components to UiPath Orchestrator. We'll see what are the different ways of doing it. If you are aware about Orchestrator Manager, which is also a tool provided by UiPath to quickly create assets, queues, storage buckets, everything else by just a click, right? We just need to provide the information and then it will create everything for us in just few clicks. We don't have to manually create all these components by ourselves. So we'll cover that as a part of manual development deployment. And next is using the solutions management deployment. So this is also something which we will cover in today's session. We won't go much in details because it's a separate session we had already, but we'll go through the steps. What are the steps that we need to take in order to deploy the packages across organizations or across tenants, and how to use solutions management to deploy solution accelerators as well. Right. All right. Talking about the next slide. So in order to deploy the solutions accelerator to the orchestrator, right? So there are different steps that we need to take, and we need to make sure that we are following all the steps correctly. So, and these are the very detailed step that is shown here. So first of all, before getting started with the deployment, right, you need to check for all the available licenses, whether you have all the available licenses, including the developer license and the non-prod license, testing license, unattended production license. Everything has to be available. Otherwise, you won't be able to migrate or make changes to the code, right? Check if all the UiPath products used in the solution accelerators are available. So let's suppose in the two-way match process, a document understanding framework or document understanding components are used, Action Center and ML skills and everything else, right? So you need to make sure that all the products are already enabled or are there in the tenant that you are using, right? You need to also create the folders and the subfolder structure at the orchestrator, and these are the prerequisites. So before getting started with the deployment, you need to make sure that all these things are already available, right? And then you can see uh, for creating and importing the dependencies. So these dependencies that you see, right, the data services schema, forms.ai export folder. So these dependencies will be the part of the solution accelerator package that we will download. So you will be able to see all this information in the dependencies that you will download from the marketplace. You can just simply import it in the respective product, and that's all about it. It's very quick. Talking about the different approaches to install the solution accelerator. The first one is using the solutions management. We will do this in very shortly. And then other is using the orchestrator management, which is a manual approach, where we will use the orchestrator management to create the assets with the right values and create the orchestrator queues and everything else with just a few clicks. And the solution management, right? So we don't have to do those clicks as well if you use solutions management, because it's way easier than using the orchestrator management, but it do not give us the capability to change certain things, but you have those options available in the manual approach, right? Talking about publishing it, publishing the libraries, resolving the dependencies. So this is where, these components, right, the reusable components, including libraries and XAML files, will have everything as a part of solutions management package. So we just need to resolve the dependencies. We just need to deploy the libraries to the orchestrator tenant. And then once everything is configured correctly, you can customize the code. So let's suppose if you don't want to use the Office 365 activities to read the emails or send the emails, you can replace it with the Outlook portion of it, right? If you're using Outlook in your automation. Let's suppose if you are not using ServiceNow, instead of this, you want to use SharePoint, right? You can just remove the existing workflow which is available there, and you can create your own library, you can create your own set of workflow to do that part of automation. So it's highly customizable. The next is resolving dependencies. We'll see that how to resolve the dependencies, if any. And then once everything is done, you can just simply deploy the libraries and processes to Orchestrator. And once it is done, you can just start using it, and then you can test it. And it's very quick to deployment. The development time reduces by a significant time, and the best part is uh, it gives us a platform where the best practices are being followed, right? All right, that's about the theoretical part of it. Let's see the live demo, how to implement a solution accelerators to quickly get started with the development. All right, so these are the solution accelerators that we will be covering for the demo. The first is the two-way match invoice processing for SAP, and the other is update existing vendor, right? So for this, you need to have an account, UiPath Marketplace. You can use the one that you already have using for logging into the cloud platform. Once you log in, once you sign in, you will see an option to download this package on your local system. And there are two options. First is manual deployment, other is using solutions management deployment, right? So we'll cover both for this one, right? So let's suppose if I want to go ahead with manual one, it will download a package for us. And then if you want to download the solutions management deployment, there are two steps. If you want to go ahead with the solutions management approach, which is easier and quick way to deploy it, so you need to download a component which gives you a schema, I would say, or an option to download or create all the assets at once in the orchestrator. And the other is to download the processes, libraries, where you need to modify certain things, right, before actually deploying it to directly to orchestrator. So we will download the assets for solutions management, and then we'll also download the templates. All right. So we have downloaded everything that we need, right? So we'll quickly get started with the solutions management part first, how to quickly deploy it. Right. For this, right now I am in the orchestrator, as you can see, and I already have a folder created under finance as accounts payable, because invoice processing comes under accounts payable process in finance. So I have the folder created and it's all empty. There is nothing else, right? There are no assets, there are no queues, nothing is created as of now. So using solutions management, we will quickly deploy the items that are needed in order to get started. So I'll show you the list of downloaded files. So as you can see, these are the two files which were downloaded. The first is the solutions management assets zip file, and the other is using the templates which need some modification or customization based on the business need. So we'll quickly go ahead and use this assets package to deploy uh, the assets and the queues that are required in this process, right? So for this, I'll go to the automation ops section of Orchestrator platform. And once we go to automation ops, you will see an option to deploy this solutions accelerator package through solutions management. When we click on solutions management, we'll see an option that under which tenant we want to deploy this. So since it's a package, it's already created package, I'll delete, maybe I'll just upload it once again. Let's see if it allows, because it's already deployed, but we can go ahead and deploy it again. All right, so here is the one which we are going to use, the assets. Right. I think it's already there. So I'll just quickly go. Once you upload it, you will see this like this. And what you have to do is you have to click on the deploy package. Right. Once you do this, you will have an option to select the deployment name and choose a destination folder. So I'll choose the one which I already created under finance and account. And it will create a folder inside accounts payable with the name AP invoice processing. You can change it here if you want. And when we click on continue, it will create a new folder in there in Orchestrator, right? So it's already exists. Basically, I already did it. So let me just maybe remove it and then again. So it's already deleted basically from there. So we'll deploy it again. Or maybe we can deploy it in other folders as well if required. Let's suppose if I want to maybe deploy it in the finance folder, right? It will create a new folder within finance folder. I see no option to delete it. Actually, I deleted everything, so just to create it from the scratch, but it's fine. So once we do this, right, so it will create all the assets for us in here with just a few clicks. And so I deleted the folder to start it from the scratch. But no worries, we will do it for the other process as well. So just to give you an overview how it works, right? So let's go ahead and do this for update existing vendor. So So for this one, there is no option to download a solutions management package because this was created, I guess, a while ago. So you won't see this because it was updated last year. But all the latest new solution accelerators that are deployed are available at Marketplace. You will see an option to download a solutions management package as well. Right. See, we have an option to delete it from here. So I installed it a while ago, but then I uninstalled it again. So we'll cover the next part, which is how we can manually create the assets and everything else, right? So for this, we need to have our UiPath Orchestrator Manager downloaded, and you can find the UiPath Orchestrator Manager in here at Marketplace itself. If you have not worked on this before, you can just simply download it from here. You can see this is the Orchestrator Manager by UiPath. So it's a quick, I would say, a package or a solution which help us to quickly deploy everything to Orchestrator. So I already downloaded it, and here you can see I have this Orchestrator Manager available, right? So once I launch this, it will open this Orchestrator Manager on my local machine, and it will ask. So we need to provide certain things in order to use this. So this is where we use the manual approach of creating the queues and assets in here. So once it is loaded, you need to make some adjustment in the configuration file, the config file that we have. I'll show you what are those changes that are needed. So I've opened the config file. And if you're using the cloud version of Orchestrator, you need to provide the tenant name and the organization name. So you need to provide the cloud tenant name and this one account name that you're using. In case of on-premise version, you have to provide these details over here, URL and the tenant name. And this is where it will download, it will refer to the files to create the assets and queues and everything else. Right. So these changes needs to be made in order to use the cloud version of UiPath platform, and then you can just simply run it. And whenever you, I would say, let's debug it. So what needs to be done is we need to provide the list of assets, queues that needs to be created, and it needs access on your orchestrator, right? And for this, you need to create an external application within cloud platform, which will allow this process to access the orchestrator to create those entities for us. So I'll just run it. It will give us a message, a pop-up where we can fill in the required details. So this is what it looks like. We can just, so since it's a cloud platform, we need to provide the app secret and app ID. All the other details it has fetched from the config file that we have provided. So I'll show you where you can create. So you just need to go to the organization, and you need to go to the external application, and this is where you can create application which will give you the secret and token to allow the application to access orchestrator, right? So I already created an application, but let's go ahead and you can give it any name, maybe Solution Accelerator. It will be a confidential application. You need to provide the scope. You just select the orchestrator APIs because we are dealing with the orchestrator, right? We are creating assets and queues using orchestrator APIs. So we'll select this as a resource, and then we need to select the application scope and select everything that is needed and click on save. Once we do this, we don't need to provide the redirect URL because this is not required in case of application scope. Once we add this, it will give us a client ID and client secret, which we will use in the orchestrator manager over here, app ID or app secret. So let me just quickly do this on my local system, and then I'll share the screen back where once I have that secret and app ID created. Meanwhile, you can share your feedback, any questions that you might have, and then we will cover it at the later part of this session. Any questions from anyone till now while I'm generating the app ID and app secret? So this is done. I'll quickly reshare my screen. All right. As you can see, once I have provided the app ID and app secret, this is what it gives us. So it gives, we need to create an asset, right? So we'll select the create operation for assets. And then in the workbook, we need to provide the list of assets that needs to be created for one of the solutions that we are working on. So for this, we just need to simply go to the folder where we have the update vendor master data, right? And this is where, so this is how it looks like. This is the solution accelerator look like, where it has a deployment option, documentation, libraries, and processes. Everything is available here. Right. In deployment, we have assets details and the queue details which needs to be created. And then we have the schema as well. So this is the data services schema, which we will export in some time, import in some time, basically at the orchestrator. Right. So since we are creating assets, we can just simply open this sheet. We can get the list of available assets. We can change the values, and then we just need to pass these details in the orchestrator manager process. Meanwhile, we'll just go ahead and go to the data service and import the schema. Since we are here, we can just simply import the schema that we have in the solution accelerator that is available, right? Schema.json, and it will give us. So this is the entity name and the data service. We can import this, and it will create an entity within data service with the name, which will later on be used in the processes once we create it, right? So we have imported the schema. Let's suppose, okay, so this is the assets file that you can see, right? So all the asset names that are needed in order to get started with this particular solution accelerator, we have everything available. Right? We can just simply provide the name or the value which is needed, and all these values will be available at the assets. It will create everything there. So we'll copy this. We'll go to orchestrator manager. We'll open the workbook asset, and then in here we just need to create, right? So we just provide details in here. We will save this, and then we can run. So we need to provide the folder name as well, right? So here you can see it's update existing vendor. So we have this folder available in here. So in this folder, we don't have anything else right now. So this process, the bot should create the assets in here, in this folder. We'll click on execute. So it will create everything for us. As you can see, it is creating the assets. So we don't need to create all these assets manually. Once we have the orchestrator manager, we can create it using this. So solution management part we could not see because it was already deployed. It was a duplicate package, but it is very quick. It is way faster than the orchestrator management steps. Right. So this is done, and now we can see that the asset has updated to 16. So this is how we can manually update all these things which are needed in order to deploy the solutions management, solution accelerator package. Similarly, we can create the other part of assets as well, which includes credentials or queue items and everything else. Once that is done, the next part, so we already deployed the data services schema, right? So once the deployment is done, the next part is you can check the libraries that are needed, right? So you will have the NuGet package available for those libraries. You will also have, in some cases, you might see a complete package as well, which you can just simply open on your Path Studio. You can create a NuGet file out of it, and you can deploy it to your orchestrator. Right. So in this case, we have three different libraries available. You can create the NuGet files um, for these libraries, and then you can deploy it there. In the documentation, you can see a very detailed documentation available, which will guide you use how to use the solution accelerators, how it is, what are different components involved in this. Right? You can find a very detailed document in here. What are the different components? What are different XAML files? It has a simple dispatcher, performer, and finalizer. And it very detailed, very useful document. So these documents are part of all the solution accelerators that you see as a part of best practice, right? Um, and then in the related documents, you can see the solution diagram as well. You can see a high-level solution diagram as well, where it will give you the different components which are. It's taking time to load this. All right, here it is. So as you can see, a very detailed diagram, it shows the different components of the solution accelerator. We're using different queues, data services, how they're integrated. If it is using storage bucket as well, we can see that. So basically the dispatcher process template it's fetching the details from ServiceNow. You can customize this piece of code, and you can provide the custom filter logic and as well. And for each item, you can have an Excel file as well, and it will add all the data in the performer queue. And once the data is available in the performer queue, it will trigger the performer template. And these are all the logics which is defined in here in the performer template. And while it adds the data in queue, it also adds the same set of data in data service as well for reporting purposes, or to use the same set of data to during runtime, right? So and then once the performer bot is completed, it will add the data to the finalizer queue. So these are the processes the bot will do, where it will invoke the SAP OData APIs to update the existing vendors in SAP, right? So we need to provide these details in the assets And once we provide all the required asset values, we can customize it based on the need, and it sets the details in the data service record, and then it also add the data for further processing and add it in the next queue, which is finalizer. So using this modular approach give you an option to modify certain things at different stages. Let's suppose if you want to customize something at the process level or the finalizer level, right? You can change it and you can customize it based on your needs. So you don't have to uh, rely on one specific single process. So it is also scalable. It gives you an option to quickly scale your existing process on which can run on different virtual machines or different environment, right? So all these templates can be customized. We'll see this how we can customize this to quickly get started, right? So this document will help you to understand how Solution Accelerator is created and how it is integrated, right? So these libraries you see, I'll deploy in the packages section over here. You need to deploy these libraries manually if you are doing the manual approach. If you do it using Solutions Accelerator, Solution Management, it will auto deploy your libraries in here. You don't have to manually deploy your libraries. I have already deployed the libraries in here as a NuGet package. And once I do that, I can open the processes, right? These ones. So we have three different processes: simple dispatcher, performer, and finalizer. So we can open each of these. We can customize this code based on the need. Let's suppose I don't want to use Outlook Office 6. I don't want to use Outlook 365, or maybe I don't want to use ServiceNow, right? I can customize it. I can replace it with the other set of activities. I can even disable it and read it from an Excel file directly. And then once you do this, you can test it. You will see that the dependencies that are needed, right? The libraries that were deployed are a part of the dependencies of this dispatcher bot, which is generic reusables or uh, update existing vendor reusables and all of that. So we already deployed these libraries at Orchestrator, so the dependencies will be resolved by itself. If it does not resolve, you can check for the version. If you have updated the version, you can check for that as well, right? So I have already modified this code. So maybe let me just quickly show you. So I disabled the ServiceNow part where the bot is reading, getting the file from ServiceNow. So as you can see, so this is the part where the bot is invoking, it is looking for the files or the data from ServiceNow. I disabled it, and instead of this, I'm reading the file data from an Excel file, right? For the simplicity of this process. So I'm reading it from the input file, which is available in here in the input section, right? So it will read it from here. And once it read it, it will add the data in the queue. So if I run it, it will add the data in the folder that we have created in here, and it will add queue item for further processing. So it will add the data in the performer queue. I have not made much changes. I have simply replaced the ServiceNow code with the Excel part, and you can see the bot has added all the transactions in the queue successfully. We don't have to do many changes. It's just easy to customize. As you can see the transactions, we'll have some new transactions from an Excel file. So we have 5 new transactions to be processed by the next bot, right? We'll go ahead and open the other process, which is performer. We will customize it based on the need. So again, we don't want to use the Office 365 activities. We don't want to use any service now. We just simply want to use the SAP OData endpoints to create to update the existing vendor details, right? Meanwhile, let me just show you how what the input file look like. The system is a little slow today. Pardon for this, but uh, all right. So this is what the input data look like. These are all the required fields which the bot has added in the queue, right? So the performer is also open now. In the init state, we can see there is no customization needed as such because the bot is reading the data from the queue itself, right? So there is no customization required in here. It's just the default one. We don't. The only customization that we need to do is at the end where the bot is using Outlook activities, Office 365 activities to send the email. I have disabled this because I don't want to use this. So I have disabled it. And in the process, you can see some reusable component files from the library where this bot is basically updating uh, the vendor details through these set of reusable activities. Right. I have not provided any specific things. Uh, this is by default, everything is there. I have only disabled the email part in the end state. If I run it, the bot will create, which will update the details in the SAP for those specific vendors, right? Check the logs as well. So in order to use this, right, you will have to provide the asset values as well. Like the asset value has to match with what is required, right? The API endpoint and the credentials that you are using, maybe the file path that you want to use specific to your environment. So as you can see, the bot has started performing the first one. It has started executing all the endpoints for each entry that we have. And as I said, these are all the reusables that are available. So it is invoking the OData services in order to create the vendor supplier, to update the vendor supplier financial details based on the input that we have in the Excel file. So this is one of the use case that we are covering, but it will differ. It will change for each solution accelerator that we have. So the idea was to give you how quickly we can get started with the development. We have everything already set up. We just need to provide the input criteria. We need to filter out if you want, right? We can customize some logic, and that's about it. As you can see, the bot had already processed everything that is there in the queue, right, successfully, and it will add the data in the next queue, which is finalizer. And we just disabled the email part, nothing else. It automatically fetched everything from this queue and added it in the queue once it has processed everything. Right. Similarly, we can run the finalizer bot as well. So the finalizer bot is basically triggering an email with all the details. Since we have not configured anything for the email. We will not be covering this, but yeah, just wanted to give you an idea that we can disable or customize certain piece of code, and then it will work as it is. So we don't have to create an assets. We don't have to create data service entities by ourselves. Everything will be there. So let's have a look at the data service as well. So it should have added some data in here because we have processed, right? So let's see if we have the data available here in. Right, so these are the details which we saw, right? Five entries. The bot has added all these five entries in here just now. So this is for the reporting purpose. The bot can refer these what it has processed for later purpose. Right. That's about it. Let's go back to the slide. Um, All right. Any questions till now? I'll have a look at the question section, but this covers the demo part where we have seen how we can deploy the solution accelerators using to orchestrator manage manually. And we could not do the solutions management part because of the duplicacy issue, but you can refer the previous sessions that we have around it for solutions management on the Delhi NCR chapter. Right. Talking about the next sessions which we have. So we have a next session coming up a day after tomorrow, which will have the top 10 SAP use cases across different SAP modules, which includes the finance, MM, ST, basis, PP, and others. So we'll go through different use cases which are for which solutions management, solution accelerator is also available, and what are the other areas where we can automate the processes around these modules. And then we have an in-person meetup coming up, which is scheduled to happen on 21st of September. You can register for these upcoming sessions. We will share the link as well for the upcoming sessions, and we will look forward to your presence for the in-person meetup as well, which is happening in the Noida location at the Silicon Partners, where we will be giving you an exclusive access to SAP systems to do hands-on exercises on your laptop. Okay, I'll take the questions from the chat. Please allow me a minute. All right. So this is similar to RE framework. Not exactly, because RE framework is not specific to any business use case, right? It is something which we can use to implement, automate a transactional based process. But solutions accelerator is specific to a business use case, right? It has components related to that specific business use case, including, let's suppose in this way case, we have, we just covered the update existing vendor master, right? So the components which were there, right, including libraries, assets, everything that is required to automate that particular business use case, or everything is already available there. So you don't need to start from the scratch. But in RE framework, you need to define the business rules, business logic, business steps, everything from your own. Right? You have to create libraries by your own. So RE framework is very different than the solution accelerator. But even though they are in the back end, they both are using different frameworks. So yes. And then we have a question from Saurabh. Is there any version dependency for using? Yes, you can find the version dependencies at the marketplace itself. So let's suppose for this particular solution accelerator, the dependency is it will work only for the studio about 22.10 version. And here are the other dependencies which will be downloaded as a part of the solution as a whole. So you will see the reusables and vendor update reusable. So these libraries are already a part of the solutions when you will download it. Right. Okay, so the questions are already answered. Any questions, any queries from the participants? All right. If not, we'll quickly cover the next slide. So that's about it. Again, feel free to join this community page on for Delhi NCR. Join this channel for to know about the upcoming sessions. We keep posting what's coming up, and if you have any queries, feel free to reach out to anyone on the group, and we'll be happy to help. That sums up this session. Thank you once again, everyone, for joining this session. We look forward to your continued participation in